How is everyone doing today? Okay, I want you to stand up. And I want you to ask this question. I want you to ask this question this morning. What is sacred? What is sacred? Now I want you to answer, I am sacred. 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 I want you to turn to your neighbor. Tell them, you are sacred. You are sacred. You are sacred. Together again. I am sacred. You are sacred. We are sacred. We are sacred. Our brown bodies are sacred. Our black bodies are sacred. Our white bodies are sacred. You can sit down. So I have two questions for you today. The two questions I have are who is human and what is sacred? Those are the two questions I have today because do you know what? Every system around you today is telling you that you are not human. Every system today is built to dehumanize black and brown bodies in this country. A wall is not just a wall is a cage. A cage is not just a cage is saying you are not human. A ban is not just a ban is saying you are not human because the code, the word citizen, is a code for the word human. A justice system that takes the bodies of black and brown children and incarcerates them is saying you are not human. But do you know what? Do you know where the sickness is? The sickness is not in us. We are not the ones that are not human. It is the systems that are not human. It is the systems that are dehumanizing. It is those that dehumanize us, they actually dehumanize themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? That every message that is put out there that says you are not human, we don't say we are not, we don't have to assert that we're human. We assert that we are sacred. Do you understand? You are sacred. Your body is sacred. Your body is sacred. Your body is sacred. Trans bodies are sacred. Do you understand? Bodies that came here, bodies that were born here, bodies that are being pushed off this land for hundreds of years, those bodies are sacred. Because do you know what is the most sacred? What are we learning from water carriers when water carriers all over the world and water protectors in Standing Rock? This earth is sacred. This earth is sacred. This earth is sacred. Not only are you sacred or am I sacred, this ground is sacred, but this earth is sacred. So I wanted to tell you and to think about those two questions. So now you know I graduated from college when most of you were born. So I've been around for a while and I'm raising two children. I'm Muslim. I migrated from Kashmir when I was 3 years old. I became a U.S. citizen at 16. But I came from a place where, where this notion of cultures of peace and cultures of violence were at play, where my father was incarcerated and tortured, where the realities of everyday life helped us think about this question of what is sacred and who is human. And even more so, right now in this time and in this moment, what we are finding is that there is a question between cultures of violence and cultures of peace. And it's not about you and I becoming peaceful with each other. That's part of what they want to say. It's about structural violence. Who understands structural violence? Raise your hand. Do people know what that means? No. Structural violence. Anyone want to take a guess? I'll let you know. The best answer to a good question is a better question. So there's no dumb answers. But this is a time when we live in thinking about transforming structures to cultures of peace. And what they try to say, it's about you and I getting along. It's not about us getting along. It's about changing structures. So cultures of violence and structural violence are systems that create violence against human bodies. So what is mass incarceration? Structural violence. What are drones that are being sent around the world to kill people? Structural violence. What is the building of a wall? Structural violence. What is a school system that doesn't tell the stories of the children who are in that school system? Structural violence. Is everyone hearing what I'm saying? So the analysis of violence is not interpersonal. It's not about you and I just figuring things out. It's about learning how a system is operating. What happens when people are peacefully protesting, trying to keep and protect their sacred land? Those are cultures of peace. What happens when we stand up and say we have a right to be included in what is being taught? We have a right for children not to be incarcerated. We have a right to know that in the last few months, the number of trans people that have been killed is one of the highest. That is violence. That is structural violence because you are in a culture that is saying those bodies should be subjected to violence. And a culture of peace says these structures are not recognizing human beings as sacred. Does everyone hear what I'm saying? So it's not about violence between just individuals. It's about learning how to undo these structures, take them apart, and rise up. Because our narratives are our humanity. Your story is sacred. Your story unveils what these structures are doing to all of our bodies. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? The point that I wanted to make is when every message that's coming across to you is telling you, is whispering, sometimes loud, sometimes quietly, sometimes softly, and it happened before Donald Trump. It happened before Donald Trump. This is not new. This is not something that some of us just woke up with and said, guess what? Now we're going to start resisting. No, it is not new. So what I wanted to tell you was part of rising up is rising up in yourself. Part of rising up is loving yourself. Part of rising up is saying, I am not just worthy, but I am sacred. I am sacred. Wake up every morning. Whatever you believe in, whatever your tradition is, whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, you are sacred. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are on this sacred earth for a reason. You are here today because something brought you here. You have a mission, you have a message, you have a story, you have a purpose. And you are beautiful, and you are sacred. And I really want this message to get across. The only renewable resource, the only resource that never goes away is that of love. And a radical love that says, I am sacred, I will take up space. I will speak, I will use my voice, I will be here and I will stand up because I am sacred and you cannot tell me otherwise.